Shalom, 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 shalom. I want to start off by giving our praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. Peace and salutation to the whole flex scattered abroad that's out here doing this work in truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Bach from Prophet Babylon camp, coming at you with another camp, man. You know, Lord willing, this camp is edifying, man. I'm starting the book of Proverbs. This is Proverbs chapter 16, verse 3. It says, "Commit thy works unto the Lord Yahweh Shai Shai, and thy thoughts shall be established," man. You know, we must commit our works to the Lord, man. You know, you go to work every day, you know, to make money, to eat, right? You know, that's the same, you know, in this truth, man. We go to work every day, you know, and the Lord is providing that spiritual nourishment for our spirit, man. You know, it says, "And thy thoughts shall be established," man. You know, brothers gonna have spiritual powers, man. You know, brothers gonna be able to do all type of things, man. You know, do miracles, man. You know, brothers have hopes and dreams that they always wanted to do on this side. You know, we're gonna be able to do it in the kingdom, man. You know, better. You know, righteously, man. You know, you know, brothers dream about having thousands and thousands of women, man. You know, and we gonna have that righteously in the kingdom. You know, not having to worry about, you know, paying bills, stressing. You know, that's just things that you think about. You know, not having to worry about with no problems, man. I'm gonna go to the book of Psalms chapter 37. It's Psalms chapter 37, verse 4. It says, actually, I'm going to start at verse 3. It says, "Trust in the Lord Yahweh Shai, and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed," man. You know, we ain't going to have to worry about nothing, man. You know, trusting in the Lord, doing his good work, man. This is a good deed that we're out here doing, man. You know, this can't be taken from us, man. You know, our work, you know, unless you fall out. But, you know, if you continue to do the work of the Lord Yahweh Shai, man, in truth and sincerity, it can't be taken from you, man. You know, can't nobody come in here and come in the truth and steal your work, man. It's like it. Damn hole right here. But, you know, can't nobody come in and steal your work. You know, you like people can come in and, you know, and steal your valuable things. You know, they can't steal this valuable thing, man. You know, you put the work in. You know, the Lord sees that you're putting the work in. It says, "And verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord Yahweh Shai, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart," man. You know, again, man, the desires, man. You know, on this side, you know, the Lord gives you, you know, your needs, you know, and some of your wants, man. But how more when we get in the kingdom, man? Everything that you ever wanted, you're gonna have. You know, and you're not gonna have to ask for it, man. The Lord already knows what you want, man. You know, the Lord already knows. It's gonna be a beautiful day, man. When you see brothers in the kingdom, man. Brothers are gonna be telling their stories, man. Brothers gonna be at peace. Brothers are gonna have all their desirables, man. You know, having a damn a zoo in your damn in your house, man. You know, not having your animals behind cages. Your seed gonna be able to play with lions, man. Lions and bears and shit, man. You know, you think about all the extinct animals. So, you know, extinct animals, man. You know, that Esau Esau brung to their death, man. You know, you think about those animals, man, those dinosaurs, man. It's gonna be a beautiful thing for brothers, man. You know, verse 5. It says, "Commit thy way unto the Lord, Yahweh Bashmi Shai. Trust also in Him." Right, man. Commit thy way. You know, you can't be an Israelite on just Saturday, man, or whenever you get in front of the camera. You know, you have to commit you have to change, man. You know, that's why, like, we tell you, man. You know, you can't come as you are in this truth. You have to completely change who you were from being in the world. You know, a spiritual change, man. You know, it says, "Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in Him." You know, you gotta trust in the Lord, man. You can't just be out here, you know, doing the hell what you want to do and hoping. No, man, you gotta actually trust, man. You know, trust that the Lord gonna have your back no matter what. Continue to trust in the Lord, man. It says, He shall bring it to pass, and He shall bring it to pass, man. The Lord is gonna bring that to pass. You know, you hoping and praying, you know, thanking the Lord, Yahweh Shemi Ashai, and trusting in the Lord, man. That is gonna happen, and it will. You know, you just gotta have faith and continue to do the work, man. You know, because scriptures say, you know, the harvest is plenty, but I'm gonna grab it. The harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. This is Matthew chapter 37. It says, "Then He said unto His disciples," Salakia, Matthew 9, chapter 27. It says, "Then He said unto His disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few." You know, the laborers are few, man. After all people in Israel, you know, but few brothers out here doing the work, man. You know, compared to all the people in Israel, you have so little that's actually doing the work, that actually believe in the Lord, man. You know, they're just going on about their everyday lives, you know, not giving a damn, you know, about the true power of the Bible, man. You know, they don't have faith, they don't believe. Something drastically has to happen to them for them even to think about the Lord, man. You know, the almighty power, something bad has to happen to them for them even to think about the Lord, bro. You put that into perspective, man. You know, it says, verse 38, it says, "Pray ye therefore to the Lord," Salakia, "Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that He will send forth laborers into His harvest," man. You know, and brothers out here laboring, man. You out here laboring for the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, man. You know, out of all of Israel, man. You know, so that's why, you know, the Lord gonna have His elect, man. You know, I'm gonna go to the book of I'm gonna stay in the book of Psalm. I'm gonna go to chapter 55. It's lucky, man. These damn mosquitoes out here, man. They bite through clothes. It's lucky. But back to this is Psalms chapter 55, verse 22. It says, "Cast thy burden upon the Lord Yahweh Shemi Shai, and He shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved," man. You know, the righteous men that's out here doing the work of the Lord, man. You know, brothers go through hell, man. You know, we go through hell to preach His word of Yahweh Shemi Shai, man. But rightfully so, man. You know, our power went through hell on this side, man. And he was perfect, man. So how much more us? You know? It says, "He shall sustain thee," man. You know, so no matter what you're going through in this truth, man. You know, brothers go to work. Brothers got kids, you know. Brothers got all things going on, but what we do, man, we make time for the Lord, man. We make the Lord our first priority, man, no matter what the hell we got going on this side, man. You know, the Lord is sustaining us, man. You know, no matter what we got going on, man. You know, says he shall never suffer the righteous to be moved, man. The righteous to be moved, you know. The Lord knew we wasn't gonna move way before we even knew about the truth, man. You know, past lives, man. You know, the Lord knew these things. You know, the Lord knows the whole story before it's written, man. You know. I'm gonna go to the book of Luke. Luke chapter 12. It's Luke chapter 12. I'm gonna grab it in the NLT. Luke chapter 12, verse 22. It says, then turning to his disciples, Yahushua said, that is why I tell you not to worry about everyday life, whether you have enough food to eat or enough clothes to wear. For life is more than food, and your body is more than clothing, man. You know, that's telling you, man. You don't have nothing to worry about, brothers. No matter what kind of hell you catching, bro. You know, you must stay loyal to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai and do this work, man. Because if we do this work, we know we will. We getting that spiritual reward, man. You know, you ain't got to be worried about clothes, food. You know, the Lord gonna make a way, man. You know, the Lord has showed us miracles, man. You know, you was down to your last dollar, you know, and a stranger to come up and give you $20 or something, man. Or you find $20 on the side of the road, man. Now you got food to eat, you know. You know, just certain examples, man, that the Lord has come through for us, man. You know, I'm sure brothers have a lot of testimonies, man, of the Lord, you know, making miracles for us, man. It says, look at the ravens. They don't plant, harvest, or store food in barns, for Yahweh Shem Yahushai feeds them. And you are far more valuable to him than any birds, man. You know? And that's true, man. You don't see these birds, you know, storing up these things. But what? The Lord feeds them, man. The Lord makes a way for them to eat. How much more his men, his true men, man. How much more his people, and then his elect men. You know? The Lord has us the whole way, man. You know, you just got to truly believe that, man. You know? Continue to pray, man. Pray for guidance and wisdom from the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, man. I'm gonna go to the book of Ephesians. Ephesians chapter 1. This is Ephesians chapter 1. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 5. It says, having predestinated us unto the adoption of the children by Yahweh Shah Mashiach to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. You know, everything is predestined, bro. You know, from the beginning, the Israelites, man, were going to be the Lord's chosen people, man. And then the elect, man, are going to be the chosen out of the chosen, man. The chosen out of the chosen people. You know, this was predestined, man. According to the good pleasure of his will, man. You can't tell the Lord who he can put up and who he can't, man. You know, but the Lord chose us, man. You know, to be a image to himself, man. You know, our people. And go to the book of Romans. Romans chapter 8. It's Romans chapter 8, verse 29. It says, from whom he did foreknow, he also predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. You know, the Lord knew these things already, man. Damn. Salakia, man. It says, moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called, and whom he called. Salakia, I think I read that wrong. I'm going to bring it back. It says, verse 30, it says, moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called, and whom he called, them he also justified, and whom he justified, them he also glorified. The elect, man. The elect was predestinated, man. You know, so we was doing this work in this life, man. You know, we were doing it in our past lives, man. You know, we've been there, man. You know, and it's going to be beautiful when the Lord wakes us up to see all of our past lives, man. Going by, you know, brothers got different stories, man. Brothers probably all over the world, man. You know, you got, you know, we talk to brothers all the time, man. You know, that is a nostalgic feeling, man. Like you seen that brother before, man. You know, you never know, man. You could have been with that brother on a plantation or something, man. You know, you met him in your past lives, man. You know, we keep coming back, man. You know, in our lot. You know, we must fulfill our lot, man. You know. Just like we finished our walk back then, man, we're going to have to finish our walk this time around, man. And Lord willing, this is our last time, you know. We go to the book of 1 Corinthians. First Corinthians chapter 2. It says, but we speak the wisdom of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshai in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom which Yahweh Shem Yahshai ordained before the world unto our glory, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshai of glory. But as it is written, eye had not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which Yahweh had prepared for them that love him. Right, man? We didn't know these things, man. You know, because if we would have, the Lord wouldn't have had to go on and die, man, on that cross, man. You know, we had to go off, man. You know. But the Lord covered our sins, man. You know. But now we have this mystery, man. You know, brothers know what's going on, starting with our elders and apostles of Great Millstone, man. You know, they know what's going on, man. They teaching it to us, man. You know, brothers that follow them, man. You know, the mysteries of this Bible, man. You know. Because all Jake can't get it, man. You know, they confuse it with something else, man. But the Lord has opened up his mystery and gave his mysteries to us, man. You know, we are the Lord's children, you know. It says, it says, but Yahweh Shem Yahshai had revealed them unto us by his Spirit, for the Spirit searches all things, yeah, the deep things of Yahweh Shem Yahshai, man. And this thing is deep, you know. Can't no regular Christian just come and read the Bible and get it, man. No, man, it has to be given to you by the Lord Yahweh Shemi Ashai. The Lord has to see that you're worthy, man. You know, if you're not worthy, you won't get it, man. And the 2/3 are not going to get it on this side, man. You know, they're going to have to come back, you know. I'm going to go to the book of 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians chapter 3. And grab it in the NLT. It's 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18. It says, so all of us who had the veil removed can see and reflect the glory of the Lord. And the Lord, who is the Spirit, makes us more and more like him as we change into his glorious image, man. You know, we have to be changed, man. You know, keep studying, keep praying, keep fasting. You know, brothers learning more and more, man. You know, because we have to be changed into those new bodies, man. You know, these fleshly bodies fail us, man. But when we get those spiritual bodies, man, it's on. You know. But you know, that's pretty much all for this camp. It's a short camp. You know, Lord willing, this camp was edifying. Until next camp, until next camp. Shalom, Abba Ball.